Level 1. Subnormal intelligence. This level refers to an IQ below 70, representing one of the lowest measurable ranges of human cognitive ability. It is characterized by significant limitations in reasoning, memory, and problem solving, with the world understood mainly through direct, concrete experiences, rather than abstract concepts. Learning occurs slowly and depends heavily on repetition and demonstration. Rather than grasping general principles, progress is made step by step through consistent routines. For instance, brushing teeth or preparing a simple meal can be learned if the process is modeled the same way each time. Any changes in order or environment, however, often lead to confusion, since flexibility and abstraction are limited. Memory functions best with familiar and immediate information. The faces of caregivers, the layout of a home, or the order of a daily routine are often remembered, while abstract rules, dates, or multi-step instructions are far more difficult to retain. Attention spans are short, making long lessons or complex directions less effective. Communication is usually basic, with limited vocabulary and grammar. Many individuals rely on short words, gestures, or tone of voice to express themselves and to understand others. Yet emotional awareness often remains strong. Even without precise language, they can recognize kindness, anger, or encouragement and respond meaningfully to it. Subnormal intelligence can be understood as a level defined by concrete thinking, reliance on structure, slow learning, and simple communication, balanced by a strong capacity for emotional recognition and connection through familiar routines. Everyday life with subnormal intelligence. For this level, daily life is centered on structure and support. Most individuals depend on caregivers or programs to organize routines such as eating, bathing, dressing, and simple leisure activities. Independence is minimal, and success is tied to consistency in environment and repetition of familiar tasks. In education, the focus is less on academics and more on functional skills. Instead of abstract subjects, instruction often emphasizes practical tasks, washing hands, following a visual schedule, or learning to use simple tools. Teachers rely on demonstration and guided practice, since abstract explanations have little effect. Achievements are measured in very small steps, and progress is celebrated when routines are performed with less assistance. Social interaction tends to take place in close, familiar circles. Friendships form through repeated shared activities, like singing along to music, playing simple games, or enjoying group routines. Even with limited speech, individuals can connect through smiles, gestures, and presence. Relationships with caregivers are often central, providing both emotional reassurance and daily guidance. Leisure is built around sensory enjoyment and repetition. Favorite songs, predictable television shows, or hands-on activities like coloring or stacking blocks bring comfort. Novelty often causes stress rather than excitement, making familiarity the safest path to enjoyment. The everyday experience of subnormal intelligence is defined by dependence on others, predictable routines, and meaningful connections through shared activities rather than abstract conversation. Challenges and misconceptions about subnormal intelligence. The main challenges at this level come from dependence on others and difficulty adapting to anything unfamiliar. Even small disruptions, such as a new caregiver or a change in the order of activities, can cause distress and confusion. Independence is rarely achievable without constant support, and planning or problem-solving tasks are especially overwhelming. Communication barriers add to these difficulties. Limited vocabulary or grammar often prevents individuals from expressing needs clearly. This can create frustration for both them and their caregivers. In group situations, short attention spans and difficulties with comprehension make participation harder, leading to withdrawal unless the environment is carefully structured for inclusion. Social life is another area of struggle. Because understanding and conversation are limited, opportunities for connection depend heavily on patience and effort from others. Without that support, isolation is common. Misconceptions also weigh heavily. A frequent stereotype is that people at this level lack emotion or awareness. In reality, they are often very sensitive to tone, trust, and encouragement, even when they cannot articulate what they feel. Another misconception is that they cannot form meaningful relationships. On the contrary, bonds with family or caregivers are often strong and long-lasting, expressed through actions like holding hands, smiling, or seeking proximity. A deeper misunderstanding is the assumption that life at this level lacks fulfillment. While independence may be limited, many individuals experience joy in music, play, routine, and trusted companionship. The challenges of subnormal intelligence are real and profound, but the common belief that it equates to a life without connection or meaning is inaccurate. Level 2. Below average intelligence. This level is defined by an IQ between 70 and 85, a range just under the statistical midpoint of human ability. People within this level are generally capable of independence, but approach thinking and learning in ways that are more concrete and experience-based. Instead of grasping broad theories or symbolic patterns, they tend to rely on repetition, demonstration, and practical examples to learn and retain information. Cognitive processing here is steady, but slower when dealing with layered or multi-step reasoning. For instance, understanding the rules of algebra or grammar can feel out of reach unless broken into small, repeatable parts. In contrast, skills tied to direct observation, such as following a daily routine or learning a task by watching it, can be learned effectively. Memory often favors familiar environments and predictable patterns. People may remember schedules, locations, and step-by-step processes with consistency, but they struggle when circumstances shift unexpectedly. Attention spans are adequate for practical activities, but less effective during prolonged or highly conceptual lessons. Language skills are functional, but not advanced. Most individuals can communicate clearly in everyday situations, yet they may have difficulty interpreting figurative speech, layered meanings, or academic vocabulary. Emotional sensitivity, however, is often strong, allowing them to recognize tone, body language, and relational cues, even when complex ideas are harder to process. Below average intelligence is defined by reliance on repetition, steady but limited reasoning, practical memory for routines, and functional communication, paired with the ability to live independently when environments support their strengths. Everyday life with below average intelligence. Daily life for individuals in this range is often shaped by the balance between capability and challenge. In school, they may do well with basic reading, writing, and arithmetic when lessons are concrete and examples are clear. Subjects that demand symbolic manipulation, layered explanations, or unfamiliar scenarios tend to slow them down, and without patient teaching, frustration can build. Teachers who use visual aids, hands-on practice, and repetition often help these students succeed. At home, daily responsibilities are manageable when routines remain steady. Preparing simple meals, cleaning, or organizing personal belongings can be handled independently with consistency. However, new problems, like an unexpected appliance malfunction or a sudden change in transportation can create stress. They may hesitate or need guidance when asked to improvise outside of familiar structures. Workplaces provide both opportunities and limits. Jobs that emphasize steadiness and reliability, such as retail stocking, assisting in caregiving, or tasks with clear checklists, fit well. These individuals can thrive where predictability is valued, but positions requiring constant adjustment or decision-making without guidance can cause difficulty. Supervisors who give structured feedback often help them perform at their best. Socially, they tend to build close, dependable relationships. Conversations usually focus on immediate, practical topics rather than philosophical debates or nuanced humor. While they may miss subtle sarcasm, they often excel in loyalty and emotional awareness. Many find comfort in group activities, games, or routines that provide both structure and companionship. The everyday experience of below-average intelligence is marked by steady participation in school, home, and work routines, along with strong relational bonds, provided environments remain consistent and supportive. Challenges and misconceptions about below-average intelligence. The most pressing challenges for individuals at this level appear when life demands rapid reasoning or higher-order problem-solving. In education, subjects like algebra, scientific theory, or advanced grammar can feel overwhelming without constant scaffolding. Progress is often possible, but it takes longer than for peers, and the constant comparison can cause discouragement. Some withdraw from learning, not because they lack ability, but because repeated struggles erode motivation. In professional environments, the same limitations surface. Roles requiring frequent improvisation, multitasking, or fast-paced adaptation may leave them stressed or unsuccessful. Instead, they tend to flourish in jobs that value steadiness and repetition. Unfortunately, society often undervalues these roles, which can harm self-confidence. Many individuals internalize the message that slower learning equals lower worth, even though reliability and consistency are vital contributions. Social life introduces another layer of difficulty. These individuals can miss cues in humor, irony, or layered conversations, which sometimes leads to misinterpretation. Without patient peers, this can create isolation. Confidence is further strained when others underestimate their social capacity, even though many are highly empathetic and emotionally aware. Misconceptions amplify these struggles. A common stereotype is that people in this range cannot manage independence. In reality, many live on their own, support families, and make steady contributions to communities. Another mistaken belief is that they lack curiosity or creativity. The truth is that their creativity is often expressed in practical problem-solving or hobbies that reward persistence and repetition. They are not disengaged, but simply approach learning and expression in concrete ways. The challenges of below-average intelligence are real, but the misconception that it prevents a fulfilling life is inaccurate. With patience, structure, and recognition of their strengths, many build stable, independent, and meaningful lives. Level 3. Average intelligence. This level is typically defined as an IQ between 85 and 115, a range that includes the majority of the population. This level represents the cognitive ability needed to function effectively in everyday life, balancing concrete reasoning with a basic capacity for abstraction. People at this level can read, write, and perform arithmetic with competence, and they use these skills to manage the demands of work, family, and community. Thinking at this level is steady and practical. Individuals are able to recognize cause and effect relationships, make short to medium-term plans, and learn new skills with repetition and instruction. They can solve routine problems by breaking them into manageable steps, such as identifying why an appliance is not working or adjusting a budget when expenses rise. While highly theoretical material may feel challenging, they can grasp abstract ideas when they are connected to real-world examples. Everyday tasks like planning a schedule, managing household responsibilities, or following instructions at work are well within reach. People at this level typically learn from mistakes and can adapt when circumstances change, provided the adjustments are not overly complex. They are also able to use logic in familiar situations, such as deciding the quickest route to a destination or determining whether a purchase fits within their budget. Communication skills are generally solid, allowing them to participate in conversations, interpret basic social cues, and understand common expressions. They can follow written instructions, fill out forms, and navigate most environments without specialized assistance. Average intelligence is best defined as the ability to manage life through functional reasoning, practical problem solving, and consistent learning, providing the stable foundation on which most of society operates. Everyday life with average intelligence. Individuals in this range often experience daily life as structured around familiar and manageable routines. In school, they can usually keep up with lessons, complete homework, and prepare for exams with regular study. Subjects that require heavy memorization or logical steps, like history or basic math, are achievable with practice. More advanced material, such as abstract science or higher mathematics, may feel challenging, but progress is possible when concepts are taught clearly and connected to practical examples. In the workplace, people at this level often thrive in roles that require steady problem solving, teamwork, and adherence to procedures. They can handle typical office tasks, trades, customer service, or technical positions with competence. For example, they may follow a company's standard process to troubleshoot equipment or balance monthly expenses using a household budget. While innovation or abstract strategy may not come naturally, they are skilled at applying existing systems and keeping daily operations running smoothly. Relationships also reflect this balance of competence and familiarity. People with average intelligence manage friendships, family life, and romantic partnerships by reading social cues, maintaining conversations, and resolving conflicts when they arise. Their decisions are often grounded in practicality, such as choosing a career that feels stable or saving for a home and family. While big-picture philosophical questions may not be their focus, they generally make choices that align with day-to-day responsibilities. Decision-making at this level emphasizes practicality over theory. From planning schedules to managing errands or selecting a new appliance, choices are based on available information and straightforward reasoning. The everyday experience of average intelligence is characterized by steady learning, competence in routine problem solving, and an ability to manage school, work, and relationships with reliable consistency. Challenges and misconceptions about average intelligence. The main struggles for people with average intelligence often come from complacency and hidden blind spots. Because daily life feels manageable at this level, there is less pressure to push beyond familiar routines. In school, this can mean doing just enough to pass without developing deeper critical thinking skills. At work, it may lead to competence in everyday tasks, but hesitation when asked to adapt to new systems or more abstract responsibilities. These challenges are not about lack of ability, but about the comfort of staying within what already works. Another difficulty lies in self-perception. People at this level can mistake familiarity for expertise. believing they fully understand a subject when they have only mastered its surface. This overconfidence can lead to decisions that overlook important details or assumptions that go unchallenged. For example, someone may feel certain about financial planning because they manage a household budget, but they may miss the complexities of long-term investments or tax planning. Misconceptions about average intelligence add to the problem. One stereotype is that being average means being mediocre or unambitious. In reality, this level provides the cognitive stability that allows most of society to function. Teachers, technicians, drivers, healthcare workers, and small business owners often fall within this range, demonstrating that average intelligence can support valuable and meaningful contributions. Another misunderstanding is that average intelligence limits curiosity. Many people at this level are thoughtful and capable of growth when encouraged, but they may not always seek challenges on their own. Average intelligence is best understood as a level with both strengths and vulnerabilities, capable of sustaining daily life effectively, but at risk of stagnation if blind spots and complacency go unrecognized. Level 4, above average intelligence. This is typically defined as an IQ between 115 and 130, placing individuals above the majority of the population in terms of cognitive ability. People at this level learn faster, recognize patterns more easily, and process information with greater efficiency than their peers. Their thinking combines practical reasoning with stronger abstraction, allowing them to understand ideas that are more complex without requiring as much repetition. A common trait at this level is the ability to connect concepts quickly. In a classroom, a student with above average intelligence may grasp new material after a single explanation, while others need multiple reviews. They are more likely to spot errors in instructions, notice inconsistencies in arguments, or identify solutions to problems that others have overlooked. Their memory for facts, processes, and structures tends to be strong, making it easier to build on prior knowledge without losing track of details. Abstract reasoning is also more accessible. These individuals can follow relationships between ideas, use logic to solve unfamiliar problems, and project possible outcomes with greater accuracy. For example, they may anticipate the consequences of a decision at work or recognize the underlying principles in a science lesson more quickly than others. Their ability to see both the specific details and the bigger picture helps them move fluidly between concrete tasks and conceptual thinking. Above average intelligence is not defined by mastery of all subjects, but by greater speed, accuracy, and flexibility in handling information. These individuals consistently learn faster, retain knowledge more effectively, and recognize patterns that others miss, making their cognitive profile sharper than that of the majority of the population. Everyday life with above average intelligence. Those identified as above average. Daily life often moves at a quicker pace than it does for those around them. In school, they may finish classwork early, grasping the lesson before the teacher has completed the explanation. While others continue practicing, they may already be ready to move on, which can make the classroom feel slow or repetitive. Group projects can sometimes be frustrating, as they notice mistakes quickly or see more efficient ways of approaching the task, but feel the need to hold back to avoid standing out. At work, this advantage shows up in problem solving and communication. An above-average employee may reframe a complex instruction into simpler steps for the group, or recognize a flaw in a process that others have overlooked. Meetings can feel lengthy when the conclusions are obvious to them early on, and they may find themselves waiting for the group to catch up. This ability makes them valuable contributors, though they may sometimes have to mask their speed to avoid creating tension with colleagues who prefer a slower pace. In relationships, the same tendencies appear. They are quick to notice patterns in behavior, recall details from conversations, or anticipate the outcome of a situation earlier than friends or family members. While this can make them reliable and perceptive, it may also lead to impatience when others take longer to reach the same understanding. Many learn to adapt by slowing down their explanations or by keeping certain insights to themselves. The everyday experience of above-average intelligence is defined by quicker comprehension, sharper pattern recognition, and the need to balance their natural speed with the pace of the environments and people around them. Challenges and misconceptions about above-average intelligence. People with above-average intelligence often struggle most when their environment fails to keep up with their pace of learning. In school, they may grow restless when lessons are slowed down for the majority of the class. While they grasp material quickly, they are expected to wait as it is repeated for others. This can lead to boredom, lack of engagement, or even underachievement if their needs are not challenged. At work, the same pattern appears when projects move more slowly than they anticipate, or when colleagues require extra time to reach conclusions that seem obvious to them. Social interactions can also be affected. People at this level often notice errors in reasoning or see solutions earlier than others in the group. If they speak up too directly, they may be seen as impatient or critical. To avoid tension, many learn to hold back their observations or mask their speed. This can create a sense of detachment, where they feel out of sync with those around them, despite wanting to fit in. Misconceptions add to these challenges. A common assumption is that above-average intelligence guarantees success. In reality, success also requires motivation, persistence, and emotional skills, which may not always match cognitive ability. Another stereotype is that people at this level are always confident. The truth is that many second-guess themselves or feel pressure to meet high expectations, even when they are performing well. Above-average intelligence is best understood as a level that brings clear cognitive advantages, but also creates frustration, misunderstanding, and the need to adapt socially to environments that often move at a slower pace. Level 5. High intelligence. This level is generally defined as an IQ between 130 and 145, placing individuals in roughly the top 2% of the population. This level is marked by advanced abstract reasoning, strong pattern recognition, and the ability to learn and apply complex ideas rapidly. People at this level often display an unusual capacity to connect concepts and identify solutions with little external guidance. One of the most distinctive traits is the speed of learning. While most require repetition and practice to absorb advanced material, highly intelligent individuals can often grasp the essentials in 1 or 2 exposures. For example, they may understand advanced mathematics problems quickly, decode the logic of a new programming language with limited instruction, or recognize the underlying principles in a scientific theory well before their peers. Pattern recognition is another defining strength. High intelligence often allows someone to anticipate outcomes based on small cues, such as noticing trends in data that others overlook, or predicting how a situation will unfold by observing early details. This skill makes them effective problem solvers in both technical and everyday contexts. Intuitive leaps are also common. Instead of moving step by step through information, individuals at this level often skip ahead, seeing the end point of a problem before others even identify it. This ability gives the impression of insight or creativity, but it is rooted in rapid connections across multiple ideas. Communication at this level may involve precise vocabulary, flexible thinking, and the ability to move between concrete and abstract explanations with ease. High intelligence is best defined by quick comprehension, deep abstract reasoning, and an advanced capacity to recognize and solve problems across different domains. Everyday life with high intelligence, living with high intelligence, everyday life often feels like moving one step ahead of those around them. In school, advanced coursework that challenges many classmates may feel manageable and sometimes even simple. A student at this level can often understand a new concept quickly, complete assignments early, and recognize connections between different subjects without needing much review. While this makes academic success easier, it can also create moments of boredom when the pace of the class is slowed for others. At work, high intelligence is visible in how problems are approached and solved. Individuals often identify inefficiencies or errors before they cause larger issues. For example, they may notice a pattern in sales data that predicts future challenges, or suggest a solution to a technical problem before it becomes urgent. This ability is valuable to employers, but it can also create frustration when colleagues require more time to understand the reasoning or prefer to stay with familiar methods. Meetings, routines, and slow-moving projects can sometimes feel unnecessarily drawn out. In relationships, high intelligence often brings heightened awareness. They tend to pick up on small details, inconsistencies in conversations, or shifts in mood that others might overlook. This can make them attentive and thoughtful, but it may also create a sense of disconnect when others do not process information at the same speed. Social interactions can sometimes feel out of balance, leaving them to decide whether to slow down their thoughts or hold back insights to stay in step with friends, family, or partners. The everyday experience of high intelligence is marked by quick comprehension, frequent problem solving, and the challenge of adjusting to environments and relationships that do not always move at the same pace. Challenges and misconceptions about high intelligence. Those with high intelligence often face challenges rooted in loneliness, a lack of genuine peers, and the constant burden of expectation. In school, they may find themselves out of sync with classmates who need more time to learn material. While this difference can make lessons feel easy, it can also create frustration and social distance, since blending in may require them to hide their abilities. At work, high intelligence may cause tension when they propose solutions that colleagues are not ready to accept, or when their speed of thought makes group projects feel unnecessarily slow. These situations can leave them feeling disconnected despite their competence. In social settings, relating to others can be challenging. People with high intelligence often notice details, patterns, or inconsistencies that others overlook, and this sensitivity may make conversations feel unbalanced. Friends or co-workers may misinterpret their quick insights as arrogance or impatience. Over time, this mismatch can reinforce feelings of being different, even when the individual wants to belong. Misconceptions add another layer of difficulty. A common stereotype is that high intelligence automatically guarantees success. In reality, career achievement, financial security, and life satisfaction also depend on persistence, emotional skills, and opportunity. Another misconception is that people with high intelligence are always confident. In truth, many feel pressure to meet high standards, or they worry about disappointing those who expect constant excellence. The assumption that intellectual ability ensures happiness is also misleading, as loneliness and stress can accompany these advantages. High intelligence is best understood as a level that combines advanced reasoning with significant challenges, shaped as much by social and emotional factors as by cognitive skill. The main misconceptions come from overestimating its guarantees while underestimating its pressures. Level 6. Gifted intelligence. Gifted intelligence is generally defined as an IQ above 145, placing individuals in a very small percentage of the population. At this level, thinking and learning occur at a pace and depth far beyond the norm. Gifted individuals process information quickly, retain it with unusual accuracy, and often demonstrate originality in how they apply what they know. Their minds are not limited to repeating learned material, but are driven to extend and reshape it in new ways. One of the most noticeable traits is rapid learning. A gifted student may teach themselves advanced mathematics, learn to play a musical instrument without formal lessons, or master a foreign language far earlier than peers. These skills develop because of strong memory, sharp focus, and an ability to connect new information to existing knowledge almost instantly. What takes others weeks of practice may take them only a handful of attempts. Originality also marks this level of intelligence. Gifted thinkers do not just solve problems, they reframe them. They can see multiple solutions where others see only one, and they often bring fresh approaches to established systems. For example, instead of completing a standard science assignment, a gifted student might design their own experiment or create a new model to explain the concept. Another core trait is the ability to make deep connections across disciplines. A gifted individual might link a principle from physics to a concept in philosophy, or apply patterns from music to mathematics. This synthesis is what allows them to think in ways that feel ahead of their time. Gifted intelligence is defined by rapid learning, advanced memory, originality, and the ability to create deep and unconventional connections across fields. Everyday life with gifted intelligence. Within this category, daily life often feels out of sync with the world around them. In school, lessons may move too slowly, and assignments that challenge most students can be completed quickly with little effort. A gifted student might finish a project days ahead of schedule, or come up with their own variation of the assignment that goes far beyond what was expected. While this ability can be rewarding, it can also lead to frustration when the system requires them to wait or repeat work they already understand. At work, gifted individuals may feel both energized and constrained. They often enjoy projects that allow for creativity, independence, and problem-solving across multiple areas. However, routine tasks or bureaucratic processes can feel restrictive. For example, they might see a more efficient way to complete a task, but find themselves limited by existing rules or procedures. Their capacity to generate original solutions can make them valuable in innovation-driven roles, but it can also set them apart from colleagues who prefer familiar approaches. In relationships, the differences can be more subtle, but just as significant. Gifted individuals may struggle to find peers who share their intensity of interest in certain topics or their pace of thinking. Conversations may feel shallow if they remain on surface-level details, leading them to seek friendships with those who appreciate depth or complexity. At the same time, they may become absorbed in personal interests, such as reading, designing, or researching, sometimes at the expense of social balance. The everyday experience of gifted intelligence is defined by excelling far ahead of peers, navigating systems that often feel too slow, and balancing strong intellectual curiosity with the challenge of connecting socially at the same level of intensity. Challenges and misconceptions about gifted intelligence. For those with gifted intelligence, the biggest difficulties often stem from rigid systems that move too slowly, areas of development that don't progress evenly, and emotions that can feel unusually intense. In school, They may find lessons repetitive and unchallenging, which can lead to boredom or disengagement. A child who understands material quickly may lose motivation when asked to review it repeatedly, or may act out because the pace feels unreasonably slow. At the same time, their intellectual growth can outpace emotional maturity, leaving them with advanced reasoning skills but difficulty managing frustration or disappointment. In work settings, the same pattern appears. Gifted individuals may generate ideas or see solutions far in advance of colleagues, but workplace structures often require conformity to established procedures. This mismatch can create tension, as their efficiency and originality may be undervalued or misunderstood. They may also hold themselves to extremely high standards, leading to stress or burnout when their vision exceeds what can realistically be achieved. Relationships can present challenges as well. Gifted individuals often crave depth in conversations and may struggle to connect with peers who do not share their intensity of curiosity. Their strong emotions, combined with advanced reasoning, can create misunderstandings. Others may assume they are arrogant or impatient when they are simply processing at a faster pace. Misconceptions about giftedness add to these difficulties. Many assume that gifted individuals have easy lives or guaranteed success, when in fact their intensity and differences can create isolation and pressure. Another misconception is that giftedness automatically comes with emotional maturity, but emotional growth often lags behind intellectual ability. Gifted intelligence is best understood as a level marked by rapid learning and originality, but also shaped by systemic mismatches, uneven development, and persistent misconceptions about ease and advantage. Level 7, Genius Intelligence. This level is often associated with IQ scores above 160, but more importantly, it reflects a way of thinking that reshapes the boundaries of knowledge and creativity. Unlike levels defined by speed or accuracy, genius operates by questioning the foundations of systems themselves and creating entirely new frameworks for understanding. This level stands apart not just for solving problems efficiently, but for redefining what problems exist in the first place. At its core, genius is marked by paradigm-shifting insight. While highly intelligent individuals may excel at mastering existing structures, geniuses tend to break those structures apart and build alternatives. A genius in science might abandon accepted theories and propose a model that overturns decades of assumptions. In art, a genius may invent an entirely new style that changes the way people perceive expression itself. In mathematics, they might uncover principles that others considered unsolvable or irrelevant, opening paths to new discoveries. Learning at this level often involves leaps rather than steps. Instead of moving through material incrementally, geniuses connect distant ideas and compress complex concepts into a unified vision. Their creativity is not just applying old tools in new ways, but generating original approaches that appear unusual or radical to others at first glance. What distinguishes genius intelligence is not only capacity, but originality and independence of thought. It is the rare ability to challenge assumptions, rebuild systems from the ground up, and produce work that permanently alters the direction of human knowledge or culture. Everyday life with genius intelligence. Those within the genius range, daily life often feels out of alignment with ordinary expectations. In school, lessons that challenge most classmates may seem restrictive or even irrelevant. A student at this level might not only complete assignments quickly, but also question the methods being taught, proposing alternatives that go beyond the curriculum. While this demonstrates originality, it can create tension in classrooms designed for conformity rather than exploration. At work, the same tendencies appear. A genius may look at an established process and immediately recognize flaws in its design. Rather than adjusting within the system, they are more likely to redesign it entirely, offering solutions that feel unconventional or disruptive to others. For example, instead of following a company's step-by-step protocol, they may invent a streamlined model that changes the approach altogether. This ability can lead to breakthroughs, but it can also cause resistance from colleagues who prefer familiar routines. Relationships bring their own difficulties. Conversations that revolve around surface details may feel uninteresting, while deep or unusual lines of thought can make them appear eccentric. Their focus on personal projects, writing, designing, or experimenting can absorb so much time and energy that maintaining social balance becomes challenging. Despite this, they often value meaningful connections, though finding peers who share their level of curiosity or perspective can be rare. In daily life, genius intelligence is experienced as moving far ahead of existing structures, questioning established methods, and being drawn toward original creation. This brings both remarkable productivity and frequent tension with environments that expect conformity. Challenges and misconceptions about genius intelligence. The main struggles for people with genius-level intelligence often stem from isolation, rejection of their ideas, and tension with established systems. In school, they may challenge teachers or question methods that others accept without hesitation. While this reflects their originality, it can also lead to conflict in classrooms designed for standard instruction. Their insights may be dismissed as disruptive rather than valued, leaving them feeling misunderstood. In professional environments, the same issues emerge. Geniuses often recognize flaws in systems and push for radical solutions. While these ideas may eventually prove correct, they are frequently met with resistance because they do not align with existing processes. This creates frustration as they see potential improvements that others are unwilling or unprepared to adopt. Workplaces often reward efficiency within established norms rather than paradigm-shifting contributions, meaning geniuses may go unrecognized in the short term. Socially, unconventional thinking can make relationships difficult. Their intensity and originality may appear eccentric, and conversations that feel natural to them can overwhelm or confuse others. This gap in understanding can result in loneliness, even when they desire meaningful connections. Misconceptions about genius add to these struggles. A common stereotype is that genius guarantees recognition, wealth, or happiness. In reality, many geniuses live unnoticed during their lifetimes, with their contributions appreciated only later. Another misconception is that intellectual brilliance comes with emotional balance, but many struggle with self-doubt, frustration, or uneven development. Genius intelligence is best understood as a level that combines paradigm-shifting insight with significant personal and social challenges, shaped as much by misunderstanding and resistance as by extraordinary ability. Level 8. Polymath intelligence. This level is defined as the ability to achieve mastery across multiple fields and to integrate knowledge from different disciplines into unified insights. Unlike specialists who focus deeply on a single domain, polymaths display broad competence and curiosity, often excelling in both technical and creative areas. This level of intelligence is characterized not just by skill in many subjects, but by the ability to synthesize them into new ideas and perspectives. Polymaths process information by looking for patterns that cross boundaries. Where most people see separate fields, they see connections. A polymath might apply principles of geometry to painting, use musical structures to understand mathematics, or adapt insights from biology to philosophy. This capacity to link seemingly unrelated areas allows them to generate original solutions and innovations that do not fit neatly within a single discipline. Their learning style is fueled by curiosity and the drive to explore multiple domains, often teaching themselves new skills and shifting fluidly between subjects. Another defining trait is versatility. Polymaths often demonstrate high proficiency in science, art, language, and practical problem-solving all at once. For example, an individual may conduct scientific research while also producing creative writing or designing mechanical inventions. Their achievements are not the result of scattered interests, but of a broad, interconnected way of thinking that sees value in variety. Polymath intelligence is best defined as mastery across domains, combined with the ability to synthesize knowledge into innovative insights. It is a level marked by breadth, integration, and creativity across multiple fields. Everyday life with polymath intelligence. Living with polymath intelligence, daily life often feels like managing several worlds at once. In school, they may excel in science or mathematics, while also standing out in writing, music, or art. Unlike students who focus on one specialty, polymaths often find themselves switching between different subjects with ease, moving from solving equations to composing music, or from studying history to building a mechanical project. Teachers may see them as unusually versatile, but the challenge can be fitting their wide-ranging abilities into narrow academic structures. In work environments, polymaths often pursue multiple paths or combine disciplines in ways that set them apart. A person may work in engineering while also publishing creative writing, or balance a career in medicine with research in technology or philosophy. Their everyday tasks may span across fields, and they are often drawn to projects that let them blend areas of expertise rather than limit themselves to one. This ability makes them valuable innovators, though it can sometimes confuse workplaces that expect specialization. In relationships, polymaths often share many interests, which can make them engaging conversational partners. They may easily shift from discussing science to talking about art, or from analyzing a system to exploring a creative project. However, their wide focus can sometimes make them seem restless or hard to pin down, as they divide attention among several pursuits. The everyday experience of polymath intelligence is defined by switching between diverse talents, pursuing projects across multiple fields, and living with a constant drive to explore and integrate knowledge from many directions. Challenges and misconceptions about polymathic intelligence. Polymathic intelligence often struggle with the constant tension between pursuing breadth of knowledge and achieving depth in any one field. In education, systems are designed to reward specialization, so a student who excels in several areas may be encouraged to narrow down too quickly. While they are capable of mastering multiple subjects, institutions often push them to fit within one category, which can feel limiting and frustrating. In careers, polymaths may encounter similar obstacles. Many workplaces prize expertise in a single field, making it harder for someone with wide-ranging skills to be recognized. For example, a polymath who bridges engineering and design may not be fully valued in either department, even though their combined knowledge creates unique contributions. Their ability to connect fields can produce innovation, but rigid structures sometimes see this versatility as a lack of focus. Relationships can also reflect this challenge. Friends, colleagues, or partners may not understand why a polymath divides time and energy across so many pursuits. What looks like restlessness to others is often a genuine drive to explore and integrate knowledge from different areas. This can sometimes create misunderstandings, where polymaths are seen as inconsistent when in reality they are synthesizers of ideas. Misconceptions about polymath intelligence reinforce these struggles. A common stereotype is that polymaths are scattered or unable to commit. The truth is that their learning style emphasizes connections across subjects rather than isolation within them. Another misconception is that being a polymath means excelling superficially at many things without depth, but in reality, many develop strong expertise in multiple areas over time. Polymath intelligence is best understood as a blend of breadth and synthesis, shaped by challenges in rigid systems and misconceptions about their drive to master and integrate knowledge across disciplines. Level 9. Visionary intelligence. This level is defined as the ability to think beyond existing systems and imagine futures that have not yet taken shape. People at this level combine analytical ability with foresight, allowing them to see patterns, anticipate change, and propose new models that shift the direction of society. Unlike intelligence levels focused on solving present problems, visionaries operate by asking what the future could look like and how today's structures might be reimagined. The core strength of visionary intelligence lies in seeing the big picture. A visionary can connect fields that appear unrelated, such as linking technological development to cultural change, or combining advances in science with ethical and social questions. This perspective enables them to identify opportunities and risks that others overlook. For example, a person with visionary intelligence might recognize how a new technology will not only improve efficiency, but also reshape jobs, communities, and education. Learning at this level often involves broad, integrative thinking rather than narrow focus. Visionaries take in knowledge from many domains and use it to imagine scenarios that feel bold or even implausible at the time. Their originality lies not only in creativity, but also in applying logic and foresight to propose changes that later prove transformative. Visionary intelligence is not just about ideas, but about framing possibilities that inspire others. It combines imagination, courage, and the willingness to challenge established norms in pursuit of what could become possible. Visionary intelligence is best defined as the capacity to anticipate change, connect diverse systems, and design futures that extend beyond the boundaries of the present. Everyday life with visionary people functioning at this stage, daily life often means seeing possibilities others have not yet imagined. In school, they may suggest new ways of teaching or propose projects that go beyond the curriculum. While teachers might recognize their creativity, classmates may not always understand the value of their forward-looking ideas. This can leave them feeling out of step with peers who are focused mainly on completing existing assignments, rather than rethinking the system itself. At work, visionaries often push boundaries by suggesting changes to established methods or designing approaches that look far ahead. For example, they may reimagine how a workplace system operates or identify future risks long before others notice them. While these contributions can be groundbreaking, they can also cause resistance when colleagues prefer familiar structures. A visionary may feel both excitement at seeing a bold possibility and frustration when others dismiss it as unrealistic. In relationships, visionary thinkers often bring energy and inspiration. They enjoy discussing big ideas and imagining long-term outcomes, whether in technology, society, or culture. However, their focus on the future can sometimes make them seem distracted from immediate concerns or misaligned with friends and family who prioritize short-term goals. Balancing their broad perspective with everyday expectations can be an ongoing challenge. The everyday experience of visionary intelligence is marked by anticipating change proposing innovative approaches, and frequently encountering both inspiration and resistance in the process. Challenges and misconceptions about visionary intelligence. A defining challenge for people with visionary intelligence is facing skepticism, pushback against change, and isolation when their ideas appear too radical. In education, visionaries may question existing methods or propose approaches that seem impractical to teachers or peers. While their insights are often accurate in the long term, they can be dismissed as unrealistic in the moment, leaving them frustrated in environments designed to reward conformity. In careers, visionaries frequently encounter pushback when they attempt to introduce bold models that move beyond current practices. A suggestion to overhaul a system or anticipate a future risk may be met with hesitation from managers or colleagues who prefer stability. This tension can leave visionaries caught between knowing what could work in the future and navigating structures that are resistant to change in the present. Progress for them often requires patience and persistence, as their contributions may not be recognized until years later. Socially, visionaries can feel misunderstood. Friends or family may focus on short-term goals while the visionary concentrates on long-term outcomes or broad systemic change. This difference in priorities can create distance, even when the individual wants to stay connected. Their habit of thinking far ahead may also make them appear distracted or impractical, when in reality they are processing challenges at a broader scale. Misconceptions about visionaries add to these difficulties. They are often stereotyped as dreamers disconnected from reality, yet many of their ideas prove essential once circumstances catch up. Another misconception is that their success comes easily, when in truth, most visionaries face years of rejection or doubt before their contributions are accepted. Visionary intelligence is defined by foresight and originality, but it is also shaped by resistance, delayed recognition, and persistent misconceptions about its practicality. Level 10. Transcendent intelligence. This level of intelligence is defined as the highest level of human cognition, where thinking moves beyond systems, categories, and personal ambition to focus on truth and awareness itself. People at this level are not limited by the frameworks of science, philosophy, or culture, but instead examine the foundations those frameworks rest on. Their intelligence is not about accumulating information or mastering techniques, but about questioning the assumptions that shape thought and perception. One of the defining traits of transcendent intelligence is awareness beyond identity. While most people interpret life through the lens of personal goals, social roles, or cultural rules, transcendent thinkers recognize these as constructs rather than absolute realities. They are able to see through illusions of status, competition, and ego, focusing instead on universal principles that underlie human experience. This level of intelligence also emphasizes pattern recognition across the broadest scales. A person operating here might observe how cycles in human psychology mirror cycles in history, or how insights in spirituality overlap with theories in philosophy or depth psychology. Their focus is not on narrow achievement, but on connecting ideas across disciplines to reveal the deeper structures of thought, behavior, and existence. Learning for individuals with transcendent intelligence is often less about acquiring new facts and more about unlearning, removing biases, assumptions, and false certainties. By doing so, they open themselves to direct awareness and understanding that is not bound by rigid categories. Transcendent intelligence is defined by awareness beyond systems, the ability to question assumptions at the root, and the capacity to integrate insights across philosophy, psychology, and spirituality in pursuit of truth rather than personal gain. Everyday life with transcendent intelligence. Those with transcendent ability, daily life often feels different from the pace and priorities that surround them. In school, they may appear detached from competition or grades, focusing less on outperforming classmates and more on understanding the deeper meaning of what is being taught. While others concentrate on exams and achievements, they may question why these systems exist at all, or prefer to reflect on the underlying principles rather than chase external rewards. At work, the same detachment shows itself in their attitude toward ambition and recognition. A transcendent individual may perform tasks competently, but feel little motivation for promotions or material success. Instead of striving to climb a hierarchy, they may focus on whether the work itself feels aligned with truth or contributes to something meaningful. Colleagues might view them as unmotivated, when in reality, their perspective simply does not center on conventional measures of success. In relationships, they often struggle with shallow or routine exchanges. Casual conversations about status, gossip, or competition can feel draining. They may withdraw from arguments that seem meaningless, choosing instead to observe quietly or shift attention toward reflection. While this can create distance from peers, it also allows them to form deep connections with those who value authenticity and shared understanding. Everyday choices for someone at this level are guided less by habit or ambition and more by reflection. Whether deciding how to spend time, how to respond in a discussion, or how to approach learning, the focus remains on clarity and awareness rather than external validation. The everyday experience of transcendent intelligence is defined by detachment from competition, preference for reflection over ambition, and a search for meaning beyond surface-level goals. Challenges and misconceptions about transcendent intelligence. Those with transcendent intelligence often struggle with isolation, frequent misunderstanding, and being dismissed as impractical. In education, they may frustrate teachers by questioning the purpose of assignments or by focusing on ideas beyond the curriculum. Instead of following standard measures of achievement, they prefer to reflect on meaning, which can be mistaken for disengagement. Their detachment from competition or grades can cause others to see them as unmotivated, even though their focus lies on deeper understanding rather than performance. In careers, transcendent individuals may not fit easily into environments built on ambition and hierarchy. They can excel at tasks, but often resist chasing promotions, status, or material gain. This perspective sometimes clashes with workplaces that equate success with advancement. As a result, they may be undervalued or misunderstood by colleagues who interpret their lack of visible ambition as passivity or disinterest. Social settings present similar challenges. Transcendent thinkers may avoid shallow discussions or step back from arguments they view as meaningless. While this reflects their preference for authenticity, others may see it as aloofness or disengagement. Their focus on reflection and truth over conventional goals can leave them disconnected from peers who prioritize achievement or status. Misconceptions reinforce these struggles. A common stereotype is that transcendence means rejecting all practical concerns or withdrawing from everyday life. In reality, many individuals at this level are capable of functioning effectively in the world. They simply place greater value on awareness, understanding, and authenticity than on competition or recognition. Another misconception is that transcendence is passive, but it often requires discipline and clarity to step outside common systems of thought. Transcendent intelligence is shaped by isolation, misunderstanding, and stereotypes, yet it represents a commitment to truth and awareness beyond conventional measures of success.